Right. Today we're chatting with James Timmins, the author of the Chamberlain Files. Thank you so much for joining us, James.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been writing?
Well, I've been writing for really as long as I can remember. Everything from short stories to poetry to a whole fantasy novel. I just love to kind of lose myself in the characters and really put something new out on the page. It's very therapeutic, and I love doing it.
Awesome. I love to hear that. When did you first decide I'm going to share my works publicly?
Well, when I wrote the first novel of the Chamberlain Files. It was titled Three Card Monte, and I wrote it really just to kind of give myself kind of a break. My daughter had was having going through cancer treatment, and it was a very difficult time for us. And it was a way just for me to lose myself in something else that, because really the treatment there was no I didn't have any control over what was going on. It just is what it is, and you just pray and hope things go well. So it was a release for me, and after it was done, I had let a few people read it, which was like let people take your firstborn, and they
Mhm.
liked it. So I used that momentum to do a. The first one was self-published, and people really enjoyed it. So that was really the beginning.
So then this really was the first time that this series was really the first thing that you ever shared.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And
And could you know?
it grew from there. So
Yeah. Amazing. Where do you do your writing?
most of the time, I do it just sitting on my couch with my
Mhm.
laptop in my lap. I have on the last novel, I did do it more in an office setting, but my
Mhm.
office in California is on the back of a boat looking out over the water. So that's pretty easy to be kind of free of
Mhm.
outside influences and just enjoy the view and life and just put it all on paper,
Love that.
so to speak.
That's
Nothing goes
yeah,
on
yeah.
anymore, but yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned like you write a lot on your boat. Do you just have like the sound of the waves, or do you listen to music, or have like TV in the background when you're
No,
actually writing?
when I'm writing, I just everything else disappears.
Mm.
I just get really involved in my work. You can say something to me, I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to respond. I just don't hear anything, or I'm just really just deeply involved in what I'm doing. So,
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. Like the whole world sort of falls away, and it's
the
just
whole
you
world.
and your
Yep.
laptop. That's great. What was the last book that you read?
Soul of a Lion is one I was reading a little bit, which is a autobiography, well, it's a biography of Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, which is part of my story.
Very cool. Awesome. Do you prefer print or ebooks?
I go back and forth. I used to be a print only guy.
Mhm.
I traveled a lot, and it was very difficult to, carry a book with me. So I bought a Kindle, and now I pretty much read on a Kindle almost exclusively.
And illustrated or realistic book covers?
For me, it doesn't matter so much as long as it speaks to the story
Mm.
and grabs the and you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but so many of us do. We look at it and say,
Mhm.
"Oh, that looks interesting. Let me see what this is about." And
Yeah.
so, as long as it grabs the attention and is pertinent to the story,
Which fictional world would you love to visit?
Middle Earth.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I haven't heard that answer yet. That's interesting.
It's one of my favorite stories, movies, um, the history to create that kind of back history to a story is just an incredible feat. And I kind of tried it
Yeah.
a little bit in my first novel, and it's I'm just that is a talent that is just amazing that he was able to do that. Of course, it took a
Yeah.
lifetime to do it. So,
In the Chamberlain Files, which book is your favorite?
the third one was my favorite. The the depth of what was happening
Mhm.
in the country during the novel um, was impactful for me. I wrote it
Mhm.
because it's things that were happening around the country at the time,
Mhm.
and still, in a lot of ways, reflects things that happen in the country. I didn't. Um, I wrote it based on a lot of my stories come out of what's happening in the news, and it gives me
Mhm.
ideas of, well, that would make a great story if this were the case and why that happened. So,
Mhm.
uh, that was certainly my favorite. From my fans, actually, the first novel is one of the ones that has the people like the most because it really introduces well the two characters of Jack and Claire, and I think people fall in love with them there, which carries on to the
Mhm.
novels.
I love that. I think it's great. I think it's I think when you're writing like a series, right, you do need to hook those readers in. You do need to because you want them to stick around for the long haul, right? And so I think it says a lot if everyone like really fell in love with Jack and Claire in like book one and they're like, okay, we have to see how this relationship develops and see what happens next. So so you're writing like and you get a lot of inspiration from the news when you're working on these like on the manuscripts. Is it hard for you to like map it out because it's more, like obviously I feel like you have to do a lot of research into your books.
Yep.
How do you stay organized?
Well, once I understand the basic premise of it,
Mm,
I outline the whole book, so I know within reason because I always add chapters what every chapter is going to be based on, and that's only one or two
mhm,
sentences. And then I research, if it's a place they're going, if it's an event, if there's things that are happening in the novel, then I need to have a good idea of, what's going on around that. Um, then I will do all the research then. So it usually takes about 4 to 6 months to do that, to
oh,
outline
wow.
and to do all the research and get everything set before I actually begin chapter one.
Mhm. Wow, how do you stay motivated through that? Like, I mean, I'm guessing you're just like obviously really excited about the idea, but the idea, like for me, I'm personally like I'm not the best outliner. Like I know it's important, and sometimes I'll try to stick to an outline, but sometimes when I have to sit and write one, I'm just like, oh, this is like the last thing I want to do. I just want to be writing instead. But like then I lose motivation partway through. So how do you stay motivated?
Well, I mean, part of the reason for the outline is to make sure that the story is coherent from beginning to end.
Mm,
And I learned long ago in English lit seventh grade that if you don't know the end of the story, then it's hard to write the beginning of the story. So,
yeah.
I do keep the end a little flexible, and I add like tons of chapters in the process as I'm writing. A lot of it
Hmm.
because the thought of what the chapter was going to be ends up being too long to be just one chapter. So that's part
Hmm.
of it. But it helps me keep focus on where the story is going and where what the characters are doing and what they know. Because since this is a crime mystery thriller, um,
Mm.
they learn things with the reader. Okay, so
Yeah.
I need to make sure that the reader and my characters don't learn things before I want them to, so to speak. So
Mhm.
it just really helps drive the uh, just the organization of the novel from front to back, and there's enough excitement and enjoyment in writing that one chapter that okay, this is what's happening. I can't wait to dig into that, and each chapter is like
Mhm.
that for me, because all right, this chapter is about Jack and Claire's growing love. This chapter is about just the culprit and what he's doing. And this one's about a particular victim, and I need to put a backstory together. So there's enough excitement with every chapter to you know there's no fillers. That's that. So when there's no fillers in the story, there's no fillers in my mind either.
Mhm. So do you find the outlining process the most fun, or is there a different part of your writing process that you find enjoyable versus what's challenging?
The outlining process and the research can be a little tedious, but
Mm,
it does, from experience, it absolutely helps. As I didn't do that on the first novel, and I did it on all the other novels, and it helped me get the story done quicker. Because
okay.
I already know what's going to happen. I'm not
Yeah.
inventing the wheel every time. So, the biggest part of the enjoyment is actually writing the chapter. Though. There's no question about that. That is the biggest part. But if I haven't done the research and don't know what the backstories are, I'm just writing on the fly. It's doesn't, I don't think it helps the readability of the story.
Do you model characters off of people you know, or do you make them up entirely?
Most of them are people I know, not necessarily the villain so much, but the
Hopefully not.
yeah, I know. But the characters that are mainstays throughout the novels are based on people that I know, and that's part of the joy of doing it. I do write a lot about Jack's father in the story, and it says things and does things that make Jack's kind of roll his eyes a little bit, and
Mm,
that's the kind of relationship I have with my dad. It's just we're close. I love the man to death, and you know, but some of the things that have happened between us in our lives are on the pages if you know where to find them.
mhm. Okay, very cool. And has your dad read the books?
He loves them,
Yeah.
and he just turned 80
Mm,
past uh, this year anyway, and
yeah.
so but he's still doing well, and like I said, my mother as well. So.
Awesome. I love that. That's great. Have you have you got any advice for aspiring authors? Or anything looking back at you've been writing for a long time now and looking back, is there anything that you would have told your younger self in the beginning of your career as an author?
Well, the first thing is don't stop writing. It really doesn't
Mhm,
matter what you enjoy writing. Just
mm,
writing is a gift, and just like any gift that we are given, if we don't utilize it, if we don't
mhm,
hone the skill, then it fades. So it's important to just enjoy writing, even if in between novels. Sometimes I'll do an exercise where I just write little things or something like that. It doesn't really matter what I'm writing. It's just getting that the creative juices going, and it's really important. Just if you've got that gift, use it. Even and don't be afraid that other people read it. I mean, one of the things that I was concerned with is like giving away your firstborn child when somebody wants to read your book, and you're afraid of the criticism or
yeah,
the. But part of why we do this is so that others will enjoy it. And in the process, I did find things. Well, I should change this a little bit. And so the any criticisms or opinions that people have of your book, you don't have to take them to heart, but there may be some nuggets in there that you want to utilize to improve what you're creating. So.
yeah, yeah, that's true. I think, yeah, because I think and it's I enjoy interacting with readers. I feel like it's interesting to see their point of view or to see like this is how they understood a scene versus how you understood a scene when you were writing it. Like you wrote and you're like, okay, this was my intention, but a reader might come in with a total fresh perspective that just makes you go like, huh, I like that, you know? And I think that's really special. What's the best compliment that you have received as an author?
That people say they really love the characters, or they really. I mean, that's even more for me than the book itself. It's
Mm,
I really love um, the relationship of the characters, or the depth of the characters, or the visual. I had one person say that when I'm reading a book, I really felt like I was there, on the
mm,
streets of, at the time it was Portland, or, that I could
yeah,
kind of, feel the wind in my hair, that type of thing. And
yeah.
that was great. I mean, one of the things I love is the comments on the app that I can look at and see
Mhm,
what readers have commented. I love when people do that. I wish more would do it. You know, good, bad, or indifferent. It's just great to read what some people are thinking and about what's happening in your story. Whether and it helps as I write the next one to realize, okay, well, this kind of rubbed people the wrong way. This people really love that part of the story. Let me expand on that a little bit. So that's always helpful, is to see what the readers, people that I don't know, are just popping into the app and letting us know what they think.
So, what can your fans look forward to next? Are there any upcoming projects or new directions that you're
I've got two in mind. One of them is the story I'm outlining now. Its working title is A Thin Blue Line, part of the
Mhm,
series. It's the same characters, and it's really a take on. Actually, I'm sorry, it's called the Wide Blue Line. It's a
mm,
take on the Thin Blue Line of police officers, and
yeah.
so I'm really looking forward to. I've outlined the whole novel, and now I'm still doing some research before I start writing. But that's exciting. And then I do have a backstory novel that I've been toying with for a while, of when Jack was first part of the police force. So it's
Mhm,
kind of pre-Claire, which is a risk a little bit, because she's such
mhm,
an integral part of the story. I don't know if I want to write something without her in it. So
mhm.
I've been kind of playing with that to see if that makes sense.
Mm. Would you ever consider doing like a pre or like a pre Jack story for Claire?
Well, I mean, as we're just discussing this, there could be a way to put both of their backstories in one novel and have the the culmination of the novel be all about how they meet and what
Hmm.
accomplished on their first case. So that may be a little bit better of a way to go about it. Um,
Mm.
so we'll see.
Awesome. I'm a huge fan of like prequels and spin-offs and companion books. I think it's cool. Like you can expand your I mean, really you're creating a universe, right? And so it's you have the creative freedom to just expand in whatever way you want. And I think regardless, if it's like, okay, well, how will readers react pre-Claire time? How will they, but I think it's still interesting to get that backstory, even if it ends up being a short story instead of like a full novel. Yeah, very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. Everyone can check out the Chamberlain Files exclusively on Galatea. And yeah, we hope to hear from you, hear more about more books coming soon, James.
Well, thank you for having me. I think this platform is a fabulous platform. I've enjoyed my time on it, and hope to continue to expand what I'm doing with you folks. And it's a lot of fun. And if you're commenting on novels, please do whatever you're reading, whoever you're reading. Let the author know what you're thinking. We get a lot of enjoyment out of reading what people are writing about our work. So please continue that, And thank you very much.